Welcome back to our latest explainer. You know, we spend a massive amount of our time navigating social ladders, office politics, and these really subtle status games, right? It's just part of life. But today we're going to look at something really special that completely flips that script. We're taking a single, visually dense artifact of ancient philosophy and decoding it, breaking it down layer by layer so we can actually use it as a highly practical tool in our daily modern lives. Let's get right into it. Pride loves hierarchy. Wisdom loves equality. I want you to just sit with that sentence for a second. It's an incredibly powerful hook, and it immediately sets up the core conflict of everything we're exploring today. Think about it. When we're operating from a place of pride, we're constantly measuring ourselves against other people, aren't we? We desperately want to know who is above us and who is below us. But wisdom? This source tells us that wisdom completely flattens the playing field. True wisdom looks at the world and sees equality. So the absolute key here is figuring out how we move from that ego-driven pride to that profound inner wisdom. So here's the physical artifact we're actually decoding. It's this beautifully designed rose pink card. Notice the really intricate drawing of a figure playing the flute in the background. It's visually striking for sure, but what is absolutely fascinating is just how multi-layered the information on it is. If you look closely, you'll see it contains ancient Sanskrit script, a Hindi translation, English explanations, and even little icons guiding us through different concepts. It's not just a pretty picture, it's practically a step-by-step manual for shifting your entire mindset. We're going to peel back these layers one by one. All right, moving into section 1, decoding the ancient vision. This is the foundational layer. When we look at the original text, what's really fascinating is the exact phrasing used in the translation. It reads, "The humble sages see with equal vision a learned Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and an outcast." Now, this isn't just about being polite to people. It's a radical shift in perception. Catch that phrase right there, equal vision. The humble sage doesn't just act equally, they literally see the world completely differently than we do. Their baseline perception of reality is entirely stripped of the artificial rankings that the rest of us naturally just project onto the world around us. Let's look at how this builds, because this list is incredibly intentional. Look at the sheer scope of this equal vision. We start with a learned Brahmana, which traditionally represents the absolute pinnacle of human societal status and intellect in this ancient context. Then we have a cow, which is highly revered, an elephant, grand and majestic, a dog, which historically might have been seen as just a common street animal, and finally an outcast, someone pushed to the absolute fringes of human society. This spectrum deliberately covers the most extreme highs and lows of societal and natural hierarchies. By grouping them all together, the text emphasizes just how radically equal the sage's worldview truly is. To the sage, the spiritual essence within the esteemed scholar with a PhD level of status and the neglected street dog just looking for scraps is exactly the same. Section 2, Hierarchy versus True Equality, looking at the modern conflict. Now, it's really easy to admire ancient sages, but let's look at the modern internal conflict we face in our own minds today. The source material basically splits our mindset into two distinct camps. On one side, we have pride. Pride needs a ladder. It literally needs to look down on someone else, to feel good about itself, and it feels deeply threatened by anyone above it. That is exactly why it loves hierarchy. On the other side, we have wisdom. Wisdom doesn't need external validation at all, so it naturally loves equality. It's a really stark contrast between our ego-driven desire for status and our deeper, far more grounded inner wisdom. It kind of makes you wonder, when you walk into a room, which side of this dynamic is dictating how you interact with people. Section 3. The Chakra of Pride. Identifying Ahankara. If you recall the physical artifact from a minute ago, it was entirely saturated in this really distinct color. Let's look at the spiritual notations at the very bottom of the card to understand exactly why. The text explicitly links this concept to Ahankara, which translates to pride or ego, and it ties this directly to the color rose pink and its corresponding chakra. So the very design of the card itself, that beautiful pink hue, is a constant visual reminder of Ahankara. Pride is identified here as the exact specific barrier that prevents us from achieving that equal vision we were just talking about. As long as Ahankara is running the show, equal vision is just literally impossible. And here is the real so what factor. The card provides this amazing, thought-provoking piece of modern context. Don't look down on anyone. You don't know their karma. This is just such a brilliant way to dismantle pride. You see, pride heavily relies on the assumption that you actually have all the facts, that you inherently know you are better or worse than someone else based on these shallow, surface-level metrics. But this quote reminds us of the unseen spiritual baggage and the complex history we all carry around. You have no idea what battles someone is fighting behind closed doors. You don't know the karma they are working through. So looking down on them isn't just mean, it's actually fundamentally ignorant. Which brings us to Section 4, Modern Practice and Application. Let's talk about daily application. So how do we actually take ancient philosophy about elephants and brahmanas and apply it directly to our modern workplace? Well, the source material doesn't leave us guessing. It gives us a highly explicit, incredibly actionable instruction. Treat the cleaner with the exact same respect as the CEO. Boom. This perfectly bridges the gap between abstract thought and daily action. It takes that ancient concept of the highest scholar and the outcast and updates the terminology for the modern corporate ladder. It challenges us to look at the person emptying our trash can and the person signing our paychecks and actively choose to extend the exact same level of dignity, attention, and respect to both of them. So, I want to leave you with this lingering question to think about. If you truly cannot know someone's karma, how does that change the way you navigate the hierarchies in your own life today? The next time you find yourself interacting with someone you perceive as above you or below you, just remember that rose pink card. Remember Ahankara. Are you acting out of a pride that loves hierarchy, or are you stepping into the wisdom that loves equality? It's a daily practice, and it all starts with how you choose to see the world. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this gives you a really powerful new lens for your day.